Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is honestly a massive biological mystery. We're talking about those intense physical and emotional shifts that so many women experience during a very specific phase of life. And look, if you've been feeling, well, entirely out of sorts lately, I want to start off by just validating your struggles with some concrete medical science. You are absolutely not making this up. And no, it is not just getting older.
So let's just dive right in. This is a daily reality for so many women out there. You wake up, you feel totally off, and you start asking yourself, should I just tough out this discomfort? Is it just stress from work or maybe the family? Far too often, women convince themselves that they just literally need to grip their teeth and endure it.
You might genuinely think you just need to put up with these frustrating hidden signs. You're probably telling yourself, well, it's not like it's bad enough to go to the hospital, right? But things like persistent irritability, severe, debilitating headaches, or even sudden abnormal shoulder stiffness, those aren't just random aches and pains. They are actual, vital clues to a much larger biological shift happening right inside you.
Okay, so the absolute crucial starting point here is understanding the timeline. Menopause is not just a single day or some isolated event. It's an approximately 10-year transition period. It officially spans the 5 years before and the 5 years after the complete cessation of menstruation. And depending on your specific biology, this 10-year window, it can begin as early as your early 40s.
And to really put the sheer scale of this issue into perspective, 3.5 million. That is the estimated number of people in Japan alone who are currently navigating this exact 10-year phase. If you're going through this, you are part of a massive group. Yet tragically, so many just suffer in complete silence.
Now, to actually solve this medical mystery, we've got to uncover the why. Why does the body suddenly feel like it's been thrown into complete and utter chaos? Why do you feel totally out of control of your own temperature, your own mood? Well, it actually all comes down to a literal panic attack happening right inside your head. The root cause is this kind of tragicomic internal drama playing out inside your body. See, the brain hasn't really gotten the memo that things are changing, so it just continues to shout these strict commands, demanding estrogen production every single day. But the ovaries, they've physically lost the functional capacity to respond. So the brain screams for hormones, the ovaries literally can't deliver, and the brain basically just goes into a full-blown state of panic.
And this profound miscommunication is the ultimate culprit. The brain's panic severely disrupts your autonomic nervous system. That's the system that controls the things you don't even have to think about, right? Like your heartbeat, your digestion, your body temperature. When that system fails, it sets off a massive domino effect of interlocking symptoms throughout your entire body.
Let's take shoulder stiffness, for example. This is actually one of the most common symptoms of menopause, but it is so often dismissed. You might just blame bad posture or, staring at a computer screen for too long, but in reality, it's a direct result of that nervous system disruption we just talked about, combined with the natural changes in your aging bones and muscles.
Next, let's look at a symptom everyone talks about, but very few actually understand: the hot flash. Let's break down how this builds step by step. First, the brain panics over that low estrogen. Second, the autonomic nervous system completely loses its grip. And third, and this is the physical mechanism, the blood vessels in your face and upper bodies suddenly dilate. That massive rush of blood is exactly what makes you feel so intensely, uncomfortably hot.
And combined with those hot flashes, you get profuse sweating. We're talking about experiencing heavy, nonstop sweating, usually isolated to just the upper body, even if you're sitting in a perfectly air-conditioned room. As you can probably imagine, dealing with this kind of unpredictability can be a huge source of daily stress and, frankly, embarrassment. However, here's a really vital medical caveat that I want to make sure you catch. If sweating is your absolute only major symptom, you need to look at the thyroid gland, which is located right below the Adam's apple. Thyroid diseases can perfectly mimic this specific menopausal clue. A simple blood test can completely rule it out, so definitely don't just assume everything is menopause without checking this first. Now, what's really fascinating and honestly terribly frustrating is this concept known as hyanobosis. Because your body's temperature regulation has essentially broken down, you can experience this crazy paradoxical state. Your upper body is flushed, sweating, burning up, while your lower body and your hands are literally freezing cold at the exact same time. It is an incredibly uncomfortable tug of war.
And this physical chaos, it directly bleeds right into your mental health. It's not just about temperature. As those female hormone levels plummet due to the ovarian changes, it triggers a chain reaction, dropping serotonin. Serotonin is the exact hormone responsible for keeping your mind stable and happy. So when estrogen drops, serotonin drops right along with it. This chemical drop perfectly explains the severe mental toll of menopause. You might feel uncharacteristic anger directed at your family or colleagues, or just feelings of deep, unexplainable melancholy. And here is the real danger zone. Midlife is already stressful enough, right? When you combine this chemical vulnerability with major life stressors, like caring for aging parents or dealing with your kids' exams, it can easily trigger a very real clinical condition known as menopausal depression. Returning to those physical clues for a second, let's talk about the head. Just like the blood vessels dilating in your face cause hot flashes, the blood vessels expanding in your brain create pain substances. This results in severe, pounding headaches that can completely derail your work and daily chores. Again, this is a distinct biological reaction, not something you should just quietly endure at home with some over-the-counter painkillers. All of these clues combine into a devastating insomnia negative spiral. It starts with night sweats completely disrupting your physical comfort. Then, your totally haywire nervous system prevents your brain's sleep centers from shutting down and getting rest. And finally, that lack of sleep further destroys your mental health the next day, making you even more vulnerable to depression and irritability. It is just a vicious loop. So, with all these chaotic symptoms, the sweating, the freezing, the headaches, the depression, the insomnia, how do you actually measure your suffering? Like, how do you know when it's time to stop toughing it out and take actual medical action? Well, this is exactly where the Simplified Menopause Index Score comes in. It's a highly practical tool you can use right at home. By calculating your symptom score, you get really clear, evidence-based guidelines. If you score 25 points or under, you can just observe and monitor. But if you score over 50 points, it is highly recommended to consult a doctor to discuss future policies. And if you're over 80 points, you need to get a detailed, precise medical examination immediately. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but what can a doctor actually do for me? Aren't they just going to tell me to go home and wait it out? Actually, scratch that. That is a huge misconception. There are absolutely concrete, highly effective medical treatments available right now to solve this. The absolute primary tool in a doctor's arsenal is hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. This physically replaces the estrogen your ovaries can no longer make. It comes in pills, patches, and a few other forms, and it is a highly effective main treatment. However, there is a crucial medical caveat to be aware of. It may not be suitable if you have a history of certain conditions, like breast cancer or a stroke. But what if HRT isn't for you? Well, enter Compo, or Chinese herbal medicines. These offer amazing, targeted relief for specific symptom clusters. For instance, Toki Shakuyaku-san helps with coldness and headaches, while Kami Shoyo-san targets shoulder stiffness and irritability. Keishi Bukur Yogan is great for hot flashes and cold feet. These gently suppress the body's chaotic reactions and are widely available via in-person or even online consultations. The medical science clearly proves this isn't just getting older. Menopause is a physiological event, and its severe symptoms are a highly treatable medical condition. You do not have to suffer in silence, and you definitely don't have to endure it alone. So, looking at everything we've uncovered today, which step are you going to take today to reclaim your comfort? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.